Beruchim haboim. Welcome everyone. We're about to begin Be'ezras Hashem together on Daf Kuf Yud Aleph Amud Beis. 7 lines from the bottom at the new Gemara. We learned last time Meleches Kosher, tying a knot. There are 3 different types. One that's Chayiv Chatos, one that's Potter from a Korban Chatos but is Oster Midrabanan, and a third type of knot that is Mutter Lechatchila. The one that is Chayiv a Korban Chatos, according to some Rishonim, that requires 2 conditions. One condition is that it be a Maisa Umin. And secondly, it be a Kesher Shel Kayama. And therefore, if it's missing one of these 2 Tnoim, then it's going to be Potter Aval Osir. If it has neither one of these 2 elements, then it's going to be Mutter Lechatchila. The other sheet in the Rishonim learned that it only requires to be a Maisa of a Kesher Shel Kayama. Doesn't require a Maisa Umin, just a Kesher Shel Kayama in order to be Chayiv a Korban Chatos. And therefore, if it's not a Kesher Shel Kayama, it's only Doimeh to a Kesher Shel Kayama because it has some sort of lasting, but it doesn't remain forever, indefinitely, then it's Potter Aval Osir. And if it's not even Doimeh to a Kesher Shel Kayama whatsoever because it's undone on a daily basis, then it's Mutter Lechatchila. The Mishnah had taught us that the dugma that a person is chayev for a korban chatos is for a keshira, that is that which is done by a camel driver and a sailor. To which we explained that means to say that the loop itself that is put inside of the camel's nose, then tied around and made a knot to make a loop, that remains there forever. That's a Kesher Shel Kayama, and that's Chayiv Chatos. The Mishnah says there are certain knots that are not Chayiv Chatos, like a Kesher Shel Gamolim and a Kesher Shel Saponim. Yet the Mishnah doesn't tell us what those are. It goes straight to the other extreme and tells us these ksharim that are mutter lechatchila, that can be opened and closed on a daily basis. So therefore, ask the Gemara right away, Hagufo Kashya. This itself is difficult. Amris, you said in the Mishnah, Yesh kshorin she'ein chayovin alen kekesher hagamolim ukekesher hasaponim. You said there are certain types of knots that are not obligated for a korban chatos, like a kesher shel kayom and kesher shel hasaponim, but it didn't say what those knots are. Chiyuva hu deleka ha'isura ika. But the diuk is that they are not chayiv, but still they are poter aval osir midrabanan. V'hoder tani, yet the Mishnah goes on to teach kosheres isha miftach chaluka afil lechatchila. Those types of ksharim that are muter lechatchila. Answers the Gemara hochi ka'omar. This is what the Mishnah was saying. Yesh ksharin she'ein chayovin alen kikesher hagamolim ukikesher hasaponim. There are those certain knots that are not going to be chayiv a korban chatos, like a kesher shel saponim and a kesher shel gamolim. Umay nihu, what are those? And this is not what's written in the Mishnah, but this is now what's stated. We're on top of Kuf Yud Beis Amud Aleph now. Kitro de katre bizmama v'kitro de katre be'istarido. We're talking about that's the leash, the rope that goes from the ring that is around the nose of the camel and then is tied to a post. When it's tied and untied to the post, sometimes it's left there for some time, and sometimes it's taken off more regularly. Al kaponim, that leash, when we tie it to the post, that's a kesher that is doimeh to a kesher shel kayama, and that's asur midrabanan. Similarly, by the boat, when a person takes the rope that is attached to the loop to the front of the boat, and then wants to anchor the boat, so he takes this chevel that's attached to the loop, and then ties it to the port, let's say a yased on the port, then that's again a kesher that's doimeh to a kesher shel kayama. Or again, to the other Rishonim, it's a Maisa Umin, but it's not a kesher shel kayama. Al kaponim, it's poter aval osir midrabanan. And that's what the Mishnah was referring to, even though it didn't state it. Then the Mishnah goes on to say those various ksharim that are muter lechatchila. Chiyuvu deleka ha'isura ika. And there are those types of knots that are mutter to tie lichatchila or nihu. And what are they? Kosheres mepitche chaluka. A woman who has a certain garment and it has the opening, and you close it the right side on the left shoulder and the left side on the right shoulder. So there, the Mishnah says, since a woman is going to take on and off those knots every day, therefore it's mutter lechatchila. Ask the Gemara right away on this miftach chalukah that we just mentioned now, pshita. If a woman's going to take it on and off every day, certainly it's not a kesher that's even doimed to a kesher kayama. Lo tzricha di'is trei doshi. There are two different openings, both on the right shoulder and the left shoulder. And therefore, mahu desema, what might you have thought to say? Chada meinayu bitul mevatil. One of them, she remains on, whereas the other one, she unties and unties. In other words, she slips through using only one end tied, and the other end she takes off and on. Since we do not know which is the one that she ties, which will be left there indefinitely, therefore we would say that it's asr. Kamash malon. Therefore, we are coming to teach in the Mishnah that it's mutter lechatchila, that a woman normally does undo both sides, and therefore it's done and undone on a daily basis. It's mutter lechatchila. The next example that the Mishnah brings is fechute sevacha. These are strings of the head covering that a woman uses. Ask the Gemara again, pshita, the same question. After all, since she's taking them on and off on a daily basis, of course it's mutter lechatchila. It doesn't have any resemblance to a kesher kayama. Answers the Gemara, Latzricha the revicha la. She puts them and she gives some widened space. In other words, she doesn't make it tight. And therefore you might think that she slips it off. Ma'u desemo, mishlav sholfala. That she slips it off and on, and therefore it is a kesher shel kayama. And therefore be chayiv. Kamash melan, no. It's mutter lechatchila because the isha chasa al sa'ara umishra sharia. A woman is careful not to take out unnecessarily hairs from her head, and therefore she will tie and untie this head covering. V'ritzuas minal v'sandal. Another example that's mutter lechatchila is one when one ties the tie of the sandal or of the shoe. The Gemara now brings the following statement: Itmar hitir ritzuos minal v'sandal. Tani chada chayiv chatos, v'tanya idach poter aval oser, v'tanya idach muter lechatchila. We have three different brises. Each one says a different possibility. One brisa says that it is chayiv a korban chatos. The other one says that it's poter aval oser, while the third brisa says it's muter lechatchila. Kasha minal a minal, kasha sandal a sandal. Answers the Gemara, minal a minal lo kasha. One shoe on another shoe is not a kasha. We can explain all three brises as follows. The first brise that says he's chayiv for tying a knot is chayiv chatos, is talking about bedu ushchefi, where the shoemaker makes the knot, where he puts it inside the sole and he ties a indefinite knot, the kesher shel kayama, and therefore that's left indefinitely. That's chayiv chatos. Poter aval aser. The second part that says that talking about poter aval aser is midrabanan. We're talking about where the rabbanan, when they tie the strap, they do so loosely so they can take it off and on, and therefore this is poter aval aser because they leave it there without taking it off. But sometimes they do take off the knot, they untie it because they don't want to get clay or mud on their feet, and therefore sometimes they do, in certain weather conditions, will tie it tighter, and therefore it's aser midrabanan. Mutter lechatchila. The third brisa that says mutter to tie these types of knots lechatchila. B'debnei mechuza. The people of mechuza, they would be very finicky about how they would dress and how they would wear their clothes, including their shoes, and therefore they would tie it tightly, whereby they would untie it and tie it on a daily basis. So therefore, these brises are all understood. Again, these brises are talking about untying, which we said before that the malacha of matir, of untying, is parallel to the malacha of tying, whereby that which is chayiv chatos for such a knot, untying would be also chayiv chatos. That which is aser midrabanan for tying the knot, then untying would be also aser midrabanan. That which is mutter lechatchila in tying the knot would then also be mutar lechatchila to untie. So now we've resolved all three brises. Says the Gemara weiter, in regards to sandal asandal, also lokasha. Hodiktoni chayev chatos, that which we says, the first brise is chayev chatos, bidiktitoi the ketre ushchefa. We're talking about Yishmaelim who would go with sandals, that the sandal maker would tie the knot, again an indefinite knot. They would put it through the bottom of the sandal and they would put it on the other side, a knot that would be left as a shekeshel kayama. The second price of Abu Potter of Al-Osir, B'dechumarta the kitre inhu. These are tied by the people who are wearing the sandals themselves, and therefore such a knot is not indefinite. It comes on and off in a somewhat regular basis, and therefore it's Potter of Al-Osir. Mutter lechatchila, the third brisa, the sandal nenafki be it's a sandal that two different people use interchangeably. Kid Rav Yehuda, like that which Rav Yehuda himself used. The Rav Yehuda achua the Rav Salah Chasida, the brother of Rav Salah Chasida, havale hahu zuga the sandale. He had a pair of sandals. Zimnin de nafik be ihu, zimnin nafik be yenuke. Sometimes he would go out with these sandals. Sometimes his own child would wear these sandals. Also lekamei de Abaye amale ki agavna mai. Rav Yehuda came to Abaye and he asked him, what is the din in these sandals? Is it muter lechatchila to tie such knot, or is it aser midrabanon? Or Marley Abaye said back to him, chayev chatos. He'd be chayev chatos for tying such a knot. Or Marley, Rav Yehuda turns back to Abaye. Hashta poter aval aser kakashili chayev chatos kamrisli. I came to ask you if it's maybe aser midrabanon, and you tell me that's actually chayev chatos. My timer, Abaye wants to know, why are you finding it so difficult to accept that this is a chayev chatos? Or Marley mishum de bechol nami. He says back to him, Rav Yehuda says to Abaye, because even during the week, it's not just left on Shabbos from week to week. Every day, on a regular basis, we switch off. Zimnin de nafikna be'ano. Sometimes I go out with these sandals. Zimnin nafik be'yenuka. And sometimes my child goes out with these sandals. And therefore, it's a regular basis that we are switching the knots. Or Marley, so Abaye said, once I understood that, Ihochi muter lechatchila. Says the Gemara Vaita, Rabbi Yirmiyahu telling us the following. Rabbi Yirmiyahu have a ka'ozil basrei de Rabbi Abohu bekarmelis. The Gemara tells Rabbi Yirmiyahu he followed Rabbi Abohu in the Karmelis. Ifsik ritzua the sandale, Rabbi Abohu's sandal, then the strap became broken, it broke off. Or marle, and therefore became unusable. You couldn't wear the sandal, and is in a Karmeli, so it's a problem also to carry. Dalad Amos in the Karmelis midirabanan, so he's in a quandary. Or marle, he said to him, Maini avilo. He asked Rabbi Yirmiyahu, what should I do? Or marle, Rabbi Yirmiyahu said to him, Shkol gemi lach, dechazi l'maycha behema, ukruchi lavei. Take a moist reed, which is not going to be an issue of muktzah because it's able to be fed to an animal, and wrap it around your sandal and your leg so that you can go ahead and wear it. Abaye have a koi kamei de Rav Yosef. Abaye, the Gemara tells us, was standing in front of Rav Yosef, a different episode. Ifsik le ritzua, and similarly, Abaye's ritzua broke off his sandal. Omar le, my yavile. He asked Rav Yosef, what should I do in such a situation? I'm in a quandary. Omar le shavke. He said, leave it. In other words, Rav Yosef says it's muktzah, and therefore leave the sandal as is. My shna med Rabbi Yirmiyahu. Why is this a different teaching than Rabbi Yirmiyahu? After all, Rabbi Yirmiyahu taught Rabbi Abo that he can go ahead and take a gemi lach and wrap it around the sandal on his foot. How come? And therefore wasn't an issue of muktzah. Over here it is. He says, Hasam lo minter, hacha minter. Over there, we're talking about a karmelis, and therefore it was not a protected place. Over here, we're in a chotzer, and therefore it is a protected place. Now, it's not exactly clear to me what this distinction is, because it seems to be like a svar of a hefsed mamon, that they were mekil in muktzah. We don't find lachara such a heter, such a kula in regards to muktzah. Al kopanim, this seems to be what Rav Yosef is telling Abaye, that over here, since it's not going to be a hefseid mamon. Therefore, we won't be lax in regards to muktzah. Says the Gemara, v'hamanahu. Abai still probes and he says to Rav Yosef, but it's a kli, it's not muktzah. Because the iboyina hafichna le mi yamin l'smol. I can take that ritzua that's true, it's on the right side, and it's on the exterior that normally cannot be fixed. The person would not wear such a fixed ritzua on his sandal. But since I can then use it for my left foot by then making it an internal ritzua where nobody would see it and therefore it will be wearable, therefore it should be a kli and should be muktzah. Omar le, Rav Yosef turned back to Abai and he says to him, Midikimitaretz Rabbi Yochanan, Aliv de Rabbi Yehuda, Shmamin halach Rabbi Yehuda. From the fact that Rabbi Yochanan, he paskin like Rabbi Yehuda, so it seems to appear that the halach is like Rabbi Yehuda. Maihi, the Gemara wants to understand what are we referring to that indeed Rabbi Yochanan paskin like Rabbi Yehuda. The Tanya, the Gemara now brings the following brisa. Sando shenifsiku shtei oiznov or shtei troisi oisov or shenitel kol hakaf sheloi tor. If it's a sandal that is removed two oznayim, that means the two parts that go over the top of the foot from the sandal, or two places that are holding where the straps are going through, that's called the treisoisov, or the entire calf is dislodged, then the sandal is tahor because it loses its status as a kli. If only one of these two holders of the ritzuos, or one of these two oznayim, or only roiv of the calf is dislodged, then it still is a viable sandal, it's still a kli, and therefore it still remains tummy. Rabbi Yehuda oimer nifseka pnimis tummy hachitzoina tor. Rabbi Yehuda says if the inner part is going to be broken off, then it is tummy. If the outside, then it's tor, because if the outside, that's non-fixable, whereby it's no longer a kli. V'omar Ula, and now Ula came v'tem Rabba bar Rav Huna, and some say it was Rabbi bar Huna, and they said, Omar Rabbi Yochanan, that Rabbi Yochanan paskin ki machloikes le'inim tuma, kach machloikes le'inim Shabbos. The same machloikes over here in this brisa by tuma is equally true in regards to Shabbos. Aval loy le'in chalitza, but not in regards to chalitza, wearing the shoe and doing the chalitza process. Vehavinam ba, and we analyzed this statement. Rabbi Yochanan ali b'daman. Who does Rabbi Yochanan go like? Which of the two opinions in this brisa, the Rabbanan or Rabbi Yehuda? Ilay mali b'Rabbanan. If you're going to say like the Rabbanan, that's Rabbi Yochanan goes like. That in regards to tuma, it's considered to be a kli. So too, in regards to Shabbos, it's also a kli. The lab manahu, but not for chalitza, because then it's not a kli. Ask the Gemara, that can't be v'hatnan. It says in the Mishnah Mefreshes, chaltza shel small biyamin chalitza sekshera. If you take the left shoe and put it on the right foot, it must be worn on the right foot during chalitza. And therefore, if it's changed from the left foot and used for the right foot, it's still valid. So therefore, it can't be the opinion of the Rabbanon. The Ela Alibud Rabbi Yehuda, you want to say that according to Rabbi Yehuda, Middle Indian Tuma Lav Manahu, Lini Shabbos Nami Lav Manahu. If in regards to Tuma it's not Mana, then in regards to Shabbos it's also not a Kli. Avaloi Lechalitza the Manahu, but in regards to Chalitza it is a Kli. So then Gemara challenges that. That's also difficult because Amor de Amrinon. When do we say that this is so, that you can put the left shoe on the right foot for chalitza? That's when the left shoe is a viable shoe for the left foot. Then you can transfer and use it for the right foot for chalitza. But if the left shoe is altogether not valid for the left foot, and then you're going to use it for the right foot, that's not going to be kosher for chalitza. As follows. When do we say that the left shoe can be put on the right foot for chalitza? Heicha de la milse manahu. That's when it is a shoe, a valid kli for itself, when it's worn on the left foot. Helcha de milse lav manahu. But here in this case, where the left shoe cannot be worn by the left foot, then it's not going to be valid to be used for the right foot. Lav manahu. Deha amar Rabbi Yehuda nifseka chitzoina tor. If Rabbi Yehuda says that if the outside part strap is broken off, so then it's not a kli, because nobody would wear it. You can't fix such a outside part. You can't wear it on the left foot. The only way it's possible is if you then put it as an inner part and then wear it on the right foot. Alma lav manu. So we see that it's not a kli. So it can't be that you understand Rabbi Yochanan to be like Rabbi Yehuda either in the brisa, because over here the chalitza, the way we're talking about, where the left strap is, the exterior strap is broken off, that could not be used, and therefore would not be possible to say that the chalitza is ksheira from the left shoe for the right foot. Answers the Gemara, la'olam alibud Rabbi Yehuda. We can explain indeed that it is like Rabbi Yehuda, because ema v'chein lechalitza. You have to then add and say v'chein, the word v'chein, and similarly lechalitza. And just like in regards to Tuma, it's not a kli, and Shabbos is not a kli, so too by chalitza would not be a valid way of doing chalitza by putting this left shoe on the right foot. V'ho kamash malon. Gemara speaks out this chiddush. When do we say that the left shoe is kosher to be used on the right foot? That's when the shoe itself can be valid for itself. That means when the left shoe can be used for the left foot. But over here, the left shoe cannot be used for the left foot, and therefore it's not kishera.